gifts you'll love. And once you reach Silver Key status, you can get free standard shipping because Lowe's knows nothing feels better than free. Learn more about our new loyalty program at lowes.com/MyLowe'sRewards today. Program subject to terms and conditions. See lowes.com/terms for details. Member gifts may be subject to additional terms and restrictions. See lowes.com/shipping terms for details. Subject to change.
94.1 FM. San Antonio's Sports Star. San Antonio's Sports Center.
Hold off on breaking out those Zeke 21 jerseys. He's moving to 15. The man wearing 15, Trey Lance, well, he's going to 19 and maybe fighting for a roster spot. Tonight in the NBA, the Celtics look to close out the Heat. Tip-off coming up at 6:30. No Kristaps Porzingis, while the Mavs and Clippers, they're tied at 2 apiece. Tip-offs at 9.
This is Extra Innings with Pleasure.
Truth is, I am Iron Man.
Rock and roll! The Texans win it!
You've been called the Da Vinci of our time. What do you say to that?
Absolutely ridiculous. I don't paint it.
That ball is history. A walk-off home run.
And it's going to be legendary.
James Pledger wraps your day with insight, opinion, plenty of sarcasm, and of course, your calls. He'll even pour a beer out the door for his favorite story of the day. This is Extra Innings with Pledger. Now, here's Pledge.
Welcome into Extra Innings with Pleasure right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. I am James Pledger. Thanks for joining me, however you may be doing that, whether that's on 94.1 on the FM dial. You could be listening via our AA Best Bail Bonds audio player in the website at sasportstar.com, or like so many are doing right now, where you can comment along with the show as it happens live on YouTube. Go to YouTube, SA Sports Star, like, subscribe, comment it along. So many already in the bullpen in there commenting what's going on. Fred, Goldfinger, Rudolph, Fred Robert Casares Jr., everybody, welcome into the show. Lots to get into, only 30 minutes to do it. We got Rangers coming up at the bottom of the hour as they try and win their second straight over the Nationals after taking the opener last night in impressive fashion, 7-1. 6:30 pregame coming up right here on your home for the Texas Rangers, your World Series champion Texas Rangers, by the way. A lot to get into. I want to talk about the Spurs draft, stuff coming up, but most importantly, Will McClay. And if you were listening, you just heard him on the Blitz as they close down the show. And if you missed any of it, you can always either go to the Blitz's YouTube, back up, go in there. You can catch the interview live in the YouTube, or you can just go to the Audio Vault powered by AA Best Bail Bonds. Be really good, but when talking about certain things, there were some phrases he used within them that were very, very interesting, to say the least, right? And one of the big things that a lot of people have been asking, Dak, CD, Micah, everybody keeps talking about it, these big deals that need to get done. And Jerry was very defensive in their pre-draft presser with Jane Slater about, why are you waiting to get these deals done? Because when you wait, it goes up. Well, he was asked about that today by Jason and Joe on the Blitz, and sounds like he's been coached up by Jerry.
You know, I think we've all got credit cards that we have that, you know, some have limits and some limits are higher than the other. And what you try and do is figure out what the right time to pay those bills based off of what you have. And that's kind of where we are. There's not only the amount that affects the cap now, it's in the future. And as you build these contracts, and the contracts go up higher than the cap every year. That's just the way that business is done. So you have to figure out how to manage that and do that the right way, and to remain competitive. I think one of the things that does help, and and the players have to do it, and we have to be good on our projections on the players. But it's our belief in our draft process as opposed to going out and paying, good guys like they're great and average guys like they're good. That tends to happen in free agency. You've got to have a philosophy. You've got to believe in that philosophy, and then the players have to go out and perform when they're put in that position.
Now, there were a couple of things that he said within that soundbite that really just, the credit card analogy is straight from Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones' lips through Will McClay. He is echoing. It sounds like it is basically the theme of the building. It's a credit card, man. It's a credit card. We can't pay it all off at once. So we're maxed out and we're doing what we can. But, you open up cap space by getting these deals done. So it's not understandable as to why, especially when he says this in the middle of his answer.
As you build these contracts, and the contracts go up higher than the cap every year. That's just the way that business is done.
If the contracts are going up higher than the salary cap increases, it should behoove you to get those deals done earlier, unless you just don't believe that player is worth it, because he also said this at the end of that interview.
Belief in our draft process as opposed to going out and paying, good guys like they're great and average guys like they're good. That tends to happen in free agency.
So you know what you have in Dak. So there should be either no hesitation on that, or you should be looking to the future if you're not looking to pay that credit card bill and let that one, I guess if we're going to keep with this analogy, lapse and just go into collections and let Dak ride off into free agency. But the problem is, what are you doing after the fact if you don't have a plan for Dak? Maybe they do. They were asked about, Will McClay was asked about Trey Lance and his development and what his future with this team holds.
Trey Lance is a young developing quarterback that we spent a draft pick on, that we traded a draft pick for, that has upside and that has promise, and he's in the mix of battling for the backup quarterback position, and things that move further from that, further in his career. So he's under a 1-year contract, and he's battling and for a roster spot, and we feel good about him and his upside.
They feel good about him and his upside, but not enough to pick up his 5th-year option to guarantee that he's on the team next year. So basically, you have 3 quarterbacks all going into the final year of their deal with no plan of succession in place if you truly from Dak Prescott. And this was the biggest thing, because a lot of people are saying he's battling for the quarterback, then caught himself and said backup quarterback position. No, if he was battling for the quarterback position, you would have picked up his 5th-year option. I think the bigger truth came a little bit later in that answer when he said
he's battling and for a roster spot.
He's battling for a roster spot. You traded a 4th-round pick for a guy who is battling for a roster spot for the backup quarterback position. The guy can't beat out Cooper Rush, it sounds like, and may just very well be battling for a spot on this team, to which you gave up a 4th-round draft pick this year for, and have no plans of continuing to have him on your roster, when other players from that same draft class just a few short months later have all gone for a 6th or later, a 7th in Mac Jones' case, or a pick swap in Zach Wilson's case. The further this deal comes, and it's by the month, it looks worse and worse for the Cowboys, and it doesn't sound like they are very high on what they've seen out of Trey Lance to this point. Now, there are different things that the Cowboys have been killed for this offseason. One of the things that they've been killed for is the fact that they haven't been very active in free agency. And I love this question by Jason Minix because he says a lot of fans, media, crushing the team for their perceived weakness or downgrading of the roster because they didn't do much in free agency. How do you retort to the roster not being as good right now as it was when the season ended?
Well, seasons and rosters aren't made on paper by the assumptions and beliefs of people who may not be in the building. It's about those that are in the building. It's about the young men that we've drafted over the past that have been in the system and have had the opportunity to mature. When you look at last year, we drafted guys, and because we felt the roster was so talented, and we've won 36 games and 3 years, we just haven't gotten over the hump, but we feel like we're a quality team. Well, those guys that did not play, they didn't play because there was that veteran depth. Well, now is their time they've been in the system, they understand that, and it's their time to grow up. It's also the time for other people to step up and to make plays and to be in that position to be guys that you talk about now that have grown into that position where people talk positively about them after they play on the field and not what's on paper. So I think it's about putting all those pieces together and guys stepping up with their opportunity. And that's what it's all about. You can't pay everyone in a salary cap league. Those things sort of have a way of evening out. And that's why the league has established a salary cap. They're trying to get parity within the league. And so, you get these young players that got to step up and that's how you address it.
So they do believe in their draft and develop. And part of the reason the Cowboys are in the predicament they're in is because they've drafted well. When you hit on Zach Martin, when you hit on Tyron Smith, when you hit on Travis Frederick, and when you hit on what looks like Tyler Smith right now, and you find yourself a Terrence Steele late in the draft, and you initially hit on a Zeke Elliott, you hit on Dak, you hit on Micah Parsons. That's a lot of top of the market money you're spending. CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons, Dak Prescott, all coming to the table right around the same time right now with these other players I just mentioned already paid. So that is a good thing for the Dallas Cowboys. And they believe in what they're doing in terms of drafting and developing. Now, you got to pay Dak because you've drafted and developed nothing behind him. And you literally just said the guy that you spent a 4th-round pick on, whose contract ends at the exact same time as Dak's because you didn't pick up his 5th-year option just now, is fighting for a roster spot. And he likes shorter-term deals. Maybe you get him on that 3-4-year deal, and much like Kirk Cousins, you put 3 to 4 years guaranteed in it. And then you draft his replacement this coming year, and you're able to slowly groom him behind Dak Prescott while he plays out this next contract. I know it's not the most optimal thing that Cowboy fans want to hear, but it is the smartest course of action and a path forward if you're looking to not being god awful between Dak Prescott and whoever may be next. Develop him the way that they're going to do Penix behind Kirk Cousins, the way that Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love were in Green Bay, the way that Patrick Mahomes was up in Kansas City. It is a good course of action to develop a quarterback underneath a quarterback you have under contract. This is Extra Innings with Pledger. I am James Pledger right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. That full interview with Will McClay in our AA Best Bail Bonds audio vault. It is at sasportstar.com. Go check it out. But coming up next, the San Antonio Spurs, their season is over. They have to build for the future. What is the best path forward for them? Well, at least to this point, we know there's a course of action that has to happen. The first of those is coming up later this month here in a couple of weeks. We'll discuss what that is and how the Spurs move forward with it next, right here on Extra Innings with Pleasure on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
It's the Morning Huddle with Rob and RJ.
Thursday on the Morning Huddle, the NBA continues. Was the Unicorn able to come back and offer his magic for the Celtics to take down the Heat? A long setup for what has been a boring series. We'll talk about it.
Plus, Will McClay was on the Blitz. What did he say about how the Dallas Cowboys went about the NFL draft? We'll get into it. The Morning Huddle starts at 6.
It's the Morning Huddle with Rob and RJ. Morning 6 to 10 on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
When it's time for a brake job, go with a solution that delivers one of the smoothest and most quiet rides on the road. Napa Silent Guard brakes. Made with fiber-reinforced shims that eliminate noise for the life of the pad. Rubber-coated hardware for a better fit on 99.5% of vehicles. And quality design that meets and exceeds OE performance. Napa Silent Guard brakes deliver the stopping power and performance drivers demand in their vehicles. Available now at Napa locations nationwide.
For the ones who work hard to ensure their crew can always go the extra mile, and the ones who get in early so everyone can go home on time, there's Grainger, offering professional-grade supplies backed by product experts so you can quickly and easily find what you need. Plus, you can count on access to a committed team ready to go the extra mile for you. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
This is Jim Rome. Join me weekdays at noon on my new home, 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Pleasure right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. I am James Pledger. Thanks for joining me, however you may be joining, especially all those in the chat on YouTube. I see y'all. I look at the San Antonio Spurs, and there's a lot of rhetoric and talk about how the Spurs should approach this offseason. Well, there are markers for the Spurs offseason, the first of which we are actually coming up on very quickly, and that is the NBA draft lottery. That was, if you remember correctly, that was the day that we learned that we were going to land Victor Wembanyama, and it was the day that the brew pub gave out free drinks to all, and it was such a phenomenal day. Well, that's happening again. That is the first marker that the San Antonio Spurs have to worry about this offseason as it pertains to the future of the franchise. And we'll find out where they are picking exactly at 7:30 on May the 12th. In case you're wondering, that is a Sunday. I believe that is also Mother's Day, if I'm not mistaken. So Mother's Day, May the 12th, 7:30. on ESPN will be the NBA draft lottery, which we will learn not just where the Spurs are picking, but how many times the Spurs are picking, because they also possibly could, thanks to, and I cannot believe the Thad Young pick is conveying into possibly this. But if the Toronto Raptors do not fall within the top 6 of the lottery, the Spurs will then own the Toronto Raptors pick, thanks to the trade of Thad Young this past year. So that was an actual brilliant trade by Brian Wright. Kudos to him by getting that pick, especially the fact that Toronto is right on the cusp of that 6, 7, 8 range on where they're projected to land. Now, I've seen a lot and heard a lot about where the Spurs should go in the draft. And maybe the pick or the picks could be capital to use in a trade to go get whoever you may have your sights set on. I have listed a ton of names, whether it's DeJounte Murray, which I find it really funny. This team is in need of outside shooting and prefer DeJounte Murray over Trae Young because of his defense. Derek White, Darius Garland's a name that I have thrown out, Donovan Mitchell, whoever your star to go get of choices, maybe those two picks in this year's draft that will both be high in the lottery could potentially be used. If they are not, and the Spurs plan on building this thing with players that they bring up in their own way. Goldfinger123 says Jaylen Brown. Maybe so. If the Celtics don't win it this year, Boston could be looking to blow it up and move on from at least one of their 2 max money stars. If they don't, though, if they don't want to move it and you can't move those picks for players, which is a possibility that nobody likes the offers that are given up and you just don't want to give up 10 first-round picks, 5 of them unprotected and 5 pick swaps for 10 years. That might be a very real possibility that they're asking for more than the player is potentially worth. Then you're going to have to draft and hopefully come along. Now, I've seen a lot of people saying, and I have said, maybe you take the best point guard, whether it's Nikola Topic or Rod Dillingham, whoever you may. And I've also thrown in other names, Alexander Sarr being one of them, as well as Zachary Rocher. Those guys aren't point guards. But in your draft evaluations, if those guys are all on the board together, and this is especially true in the NBA, even more so than the NFL, you take best player available over position. At any point in cost, you take the best player that you deem available in the NBA draft. Are more valuable than positions. Anytime, every time. I don't care if you had Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic on this roster. You do not pass on Victor Wembanyama if you had the number 1 pick to go get Scoot Henderson because you need a point guard. No. Generational talent, top talent, whatever it may be, you take the best player available in the NBA draft. You don't pigeonhole yourself into, look, we really need to go get a point guard. Then go trade for him at some point. Go sign him in free agency. You fill those needs that way. You take whatever you perceive is the individually best player in the NBA, because players outweigh everything in the NBA. And even if you have multiple at a position, you can flip that asset for more assets and probably more than what you paid for it in the draft. Let's say you take a Rod Dillingham at 6 or something like that, and he turns into a phenomenal player. Well, Sacramento did it with Tyrese Halliburton and De'Aaron Fox. Couple of point guards. Guess what? They were able to flip one for multiple firsts. So, and players always take the best player when you talk about the draft. And that first marker for the Spurs is coming up here in just a couple of weeks. Sunday, May the 12th, 7:30 on ESPN. We find out where and how many picks the San Antonio Spurs will have. Coming up next, we got Rangers baseball as they get set to take on the Nationals in Game 2 of that series. It's right here on your home for the Rangers, San Antonio Sports Star.
94.1.
Flo here from Progressive to tell you how you get more than great savings with us. You get customer service access through our mobile app, online chat, or by phone.
That's a lot of ways I can get in touch with you. I see what's going on here. You can't name favorites, but I'm your number one customer.
Actually, we offer all our customers these ways to contact us.
I'm sure you give just any customer your personal
company
contact info.
Well, you did call us more than any other customer this year. So in that sense, you are our number one customer.
Get help from Progressive through the website, app, chat, or phone. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Lowe's knows pros need the right tools for every job. That's why we sell the largest in-store selection of Klein tools anywhere. Find new items launching exclusively at Lowe's, like the self-leveling